I'm Blair Milo. I'm the mayor of LaPorte, Indiana.
I'm Mayor Tom McDermott, Mayor Hammond, Indiana.
Allan Kauffman, Mayor of the City of Goshen.
I'm Joe Stahura, the Mayor of the City of Whiting.
And we're excited to be able to share just some different ideas with folks on being able to champion some of the efforts that have been done overall, but also encourage opportunities for local government to look at unique options that those particular areas may need to take advantage of. And so I'm very pleased to join my colleagues here to talk about those particular areas.
The message is, the state is becoming much more aware now of the importance of placemaking. And for us to be able to continue to make our places, whether it's LaPorte or Hammond or Whiting or Goshen, places where people want to live, we have to have some flexibility, other tools to be able to replace those property
So is that the
taxes.
message? Are we asking for more tools? Are we asking for
It's
more
consistent with
flexibility,
that, too.
more local control?
It is.
I think that's the whole point, is that we're not necessarily asking the state to create any new taxes or anything. It's simply to allow local government tools to be able to create the places, the unique places that help encourage development.
What is that tool, though?
I think there's multiple tools.
yeah.
TIF.
Mm-hmm.
You can't erode
We
it.
have it, but
You
don't
can't
take
erode it, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about taking it away, so.
Back in 2006, we actually used TIF to put a new roadway in for BP. Soon after, they announced that their desire to expand the refinery. So following that, we ended up participating with TIF to acquire millions of dollars of property for them, put in new water and sewer lines, and also to actually change the landscape of the area where they're actually building. So there's a lot of cosmetic things that we did to help them out. I didn't know that their investment was going to end up being the largest economic development in state history, Indiana state history. But we played a huge role in that. I mean, without TIF, we wouldn't have been able to help. The state had no money to give. The state actually gave some tax credits for training. So without that, and it was probably $10, $11 million of total investment that the city made. So it's a great. Nobody in their right mind would have said, "Don't do that." For almost over a $4 billion project, our $10 or $11 million investment, and it was bonded through TIF. Without that, that project would have certainly been, off to a rockier start.
In Hammond, when I first took over as mayor, we had a problem housing complex that was located right off Kennedy and 8094. It was a problem. A lot of crime, a lot of calls for service. It was a plague on the community. It really was. We acquired it using TIF dollars, and now we're currently developing it. We have restaurants going in, we have office space going in. It's a high-profile location right off of 8094. That was all done through TIF, and I tell you, there's hardly a Hammond resident that would say that was a bad use of TIF dollars.
Well, in Goshen, we had a lack of industrial land, and we had an industrial park right outside the city limits that had been developed on water or on septic and well that was failing, and so we created a TIF district, and we were able to put utilities in there and grow that industrial area. We would have very, very little industrial development in Goshen if we hadn't worked with private developers to put road, water, and sewer in and use TIF dollars to pay them back for their investment. Nobody was going to come in and create those industrial parks on the bet that somebody was going to come. So we had to be able to.
That's what the city does.
Yeah, exactly. And without TIF, we couldn't do that.
In LaPorte, we're moving forward with the expansion of our industrial park on the east side of town, as well as the development of a mixed-use recreational, commercial, and residential development that all requires infrastructure to be placed inside of it in order for further development to occur there. And so we're currently in the process of moving through those plans to be able to invest some of those dollars, and to even have that opportunity. The expansion of the industrial park was really came from the partnership with a private developer, as well as the Urban Enterprise Association and the Redevelopment Commission, to be able to partner with that organization in the expansion of the industrial park, and then the addition of rail service there, that bringing now dual rail service to that park is setting LaPorte's industrial park apart from many other industrial areas across the state.
This is no knock on legislators, but I think sometimes when they're down there in session, you know, they're in an area of the state that's doing pretty well. You know, when you drive to Indianapolis, you drive through Carmel and Carmel and Noblesville and Westfield and those kind of places, and economic development is happening everywhere. And you get in a kind of cocoon down there in the donut counties, and you think things are going really well. Well, they're not going so well in northern Indiana or southern Indiana or somewhere else. So that's one of the values of IAC, bringing these legislative and mayor discussions around the state, is that we're outside. So, you know, we're talking about thinking like a local. I noticed when I came down here, there was a sign on the wall, play like a champion, the Notre Dame, you know, gold and yellow, or gold and blue. Well, we're talking about the same thing with think like a local, act like a local, vote like a local. Remember when you're in Indianapolis that you're from LaPorte or Hammond or Whiting or Goshen or South Bend or wherever you're from, and think about the issues in your home community, not just what's going on in central Indiana where things look pretty good, at least from the outside. So think like a local.
And I guess what we're asking for is, I mean, we're asking for a little bit of flexibility, right, a little bit of understanding. And sometimes I feel when I go down to Indianapolis that they truly do not understand where we're at.
When the tax caps were passed, Joe, part of the reason they wanted to do it is because we had a problem with the over-reliance on property taxes, and they wanted to diversify that stream. And they really haven't diversified. They capped it, and quite frankly, they haven't added anything. You know, there's no new tools there to diversify to a food and beverage if we wanted to, or to a wheel tax if we wanted to. That was never done. All that was done is capped, and I view it much the same way as you all. I think it's not an expense problem. Maybe there was an expense problem, but that's gone now. Now it's a revenue problem.
I think what I hope comes out of this discussion and other discussions that we've had in the past is that our legislators understand that cities and towns are the economic engines for the state. The economic development happens in cities and towns, and for that to continue to happen, we have to have some local flexibility. We have to have the ability to govern our cities differently as the needs arise, and make them quality places.
I think one of the other things that's a misconception down in Indianapolis right now too is that I think the idea of placemaking and quality of life has really taken it's suffered a bit. You know, there is some movement to say that you shouldn't be spending tax dollars to spend them on focus on direct expenses, but you know that every economic development project you have, quality of life or or placemaking, plays some role in that, and in some cases more than others. You know, so you know, I think it's kind of it's not a direct request, but it's kind of a concept that people are catching on to right now, and I don't think that's accurate whatsoever. I think we really need to focus on how important that placemaking is to our communities.
Fact that we're not cookie cutter examples. You know, we're four mayors that probably live within an hour and a half of each other, an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe maximum. And our cities are significantly different. Think about the differences between Goshen and Jasper, Indiana, or Huntingburg, or whatever. And so there just needs to be flexibility so that we can manage our cities the way they need to be managed, and that make our residents happy. And if they're not happy, they will remove us. We can't gerrymander our city boundaries to get people to vote for us. We live with what we have. So.
That's true.
Well, and I think a key point is to make sure that we communicate that we appreciate a lot of the work that the state legislature has done to create a great foundation for finance across the state that has made us so competitive, and then made our cities very competitive in a national environment and very attractive. And so at this point, I think that we're looking to be good partners with the state legislature in order to tweak some of the tools and abilities that are offered to local government to allow the cities to address their unique challenges. And so that's where local leaders are trying to be innovative in how we address those particular areas, that we can then be able to better respond to the citizen questions of why are the roads in the condition that they're in? Well, we're having to look at these particular different challenges that ultimately there is a numbers problem, there's a math problem overall for being able to acquire the appropriate revenue to address all of the maintenance needs. But each city's maintenance needs are different. And so that's where local government, I think, is looking to try and be a good partner with the state and not ask the state to try and address this, that we'll take on the onus of being able to address this. We simply need some opportunities, some tools to be able to do that.
Yeah.